Hi, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here, back from her travels. There's a little bit of a tan. You can't really see it in this light, but there is one. So back from sunning myself up in the lovely Canary Islands, 28 degrees, and back to chilly, wet UK. So what a better way to warm ourselves up with a bit of pop chat. Hi everyone. So the show that I put out last week, because I knew there wasn't going to be any nerdy roundup, done really well. So thank you everybody that watched. Would love some comments on the show, the format. So Holiday Brain still engaged. Unfortunately, 2 days back at work, and I'm still not quite there. Anyway, back to the subject in hand. So just a couple of topics to talk through. I've sort of managed to trawl through Twitter and the internet since being back, and trying to catch up on the world of pop. So yeah, so I've got this really annoying kind of strand of hair, and I can't quite. You don't want to see me doing my hair, do you? Look, it's even worse now. Got it. Sorry, it's just going to bug me the whole stream. I do apologise. How very unprofessional of me. Anywho, right, so completely lost my mind on holiday. So the first thing I was going to just chat about, blimmin' Jodie Whittaker. As I said in last week's, not a fan. Finally had the regeneration, and really I just wanted to pick up here. It says the power of the Doctor ratings revealed, and usual kind of mainstream media, they're like, oh, they've gone out on a high, they've gone out on a bang, these are the best ratings they've had in like however long. It was like the 5th most watched TV show on BBC on Sunday, which isn't saying much because their ratings aren't that great these days. So I think this article says they kind of netted out with the overnights at it was 5.1 or 5.3 million. I've read 5.1, I've also read 5.3, but either or, I mean, it's not good ratings. And to still sit here and go, oh, they've done so well, and she's done so well, and the writing, it's just nonsense, to get such a low rating on a regeneration episode. And the overnights really, or I think it was 7 days actually. So on the night, they were sort of around 4.7 or whatever, and then just creep over the 5 million mark after 7 days is bad. And that, however they try and spin it, it doesn't bode well for Doctor Who. I think it just really shows the amount of apathy, and it's worse. It's always worse for creators. I think when fans get past being angry and there's just apathy, that they just really don't care. The fact that the David Tennant at the end, like once word got out, barely brought anybody in to watch it on iPlayer. I'm guessing a lot of people, as I did, just went on YouTube and Googled Doctor Regeneration and just watched the end 30 seconds. And I'm sure a lot of people did that. But it'd be interesting to see how the 60th with David Tennant plays out. I think it will get the ratings. Whether we'll be back up to 10, 11 million, who knows? I guess a lot of people are just really I'd say, I'm done. Not even David Tennant's going to bring me back, or I'll watch David Tennant, but I've got no interest in the new Doctor as I said last time, is the Doctor gay? Isn't he gay? I said the actor himself hasn't come out, but his co-stars like to go around outing him and saying that he is. Then we've got the trans actress. So it's making a lot of people very nervous about what we're going to get. They just basically going to quadruple down on the wokeness. But we'll know really, really quickly. But I think we can't say the 60th anniversary of the 3 episodes that we're going to get with David Tennant and Catherine Tate are any gauge at all on what we're actually going to get for Ncuti Gatwa's actual series. He seems like a really nice guy, very down to earth, lovely guy. So I love the show. I don't want the show to get cancelled, but I don't also want it to carry on going down the path that it's going. He seems like a lovely guy. So I really hope it does work out successful for him. I think he, like I said, he deserves a fair crack. But who knows? I think this is really, really bad news for BBC. And I think it's showing there's a bigger hill to climb than maybe even RTD first thought. So whether that will do anything to rethink the direction they're going in, unlikely, because I always think they know better than the fans. But hey, we'll have to see. Yeah, so what I will say, which is quite interesting, that I was discussing last week, more around Rings of Power and the mainstream media. So like here we have got, oh, you look at the ratings, didn't she do well? But I also did see a couple of articles doing exactly the same as Rings of Power, going, actually, Jodie's era wasn't that good, was it? And oh, it was a bit ropey, and oh, there was criticism about the writing, and oh yeah, it wasn't, at the standard that we've seen before. Doing a complete U-turn on what they were saying previously, and again crapping all over the fans saying, we're not really feeling this, and we're a bunch of sexist, misogynistic bigots as always. But now the mainstream media are coming out going, yeah, it didn't really, the first female doctor, as Gary from Nerdrotic would say, that we're lovingly called Dr. Karen, credit to Gary Nerdrotic, wasn't just didn't work or didn't grip the imagination. So again, it seems to be perfectly okay for the media to say that. And once again, we're all vile, horrible human beings for sort of saying, hey, this writing's pretty crap. So there, watch this space, I guess, to see if any more, nonsense. Well, this sort of shift in media continues. Not going to hold my breath, not based on this article anyway. But yeah, really, in one way, it's good to see that people are, mainstream media are going, look, actually, this isn't really that good. But massively disappointing when we've had 5 years of driving Doctor Who fans away, saying we don't want you, this is not made for you. Yeah, so let's see where we end up. And what they'll be saying if people criticize RTD and the Tennant, who, one of my all-time favorite doctors. But let's wait and see how it all plays out. So one of the other stories that caught my eye, I was going to really see that one too well, so just do that for a little bit. Henry Cavill, and I basically put the picture up of The Witcher because obviously that's really big news about him stepping down from The Witcher, and Liam Hemsworth taking over. And as this article saying, could be a fatal misstep. Henry Cavill is just a cash cow. He's a massive draw. But also wanted to touch on obviously him going back to play Superman. So I think either way, whatever happens, I think Henry Cavill will land on his feet, quite deservingly so too. But again, a lot of stuff is sort of coming out behind the scenes of this show. Not a massive shocker, I don't think, to people who were following the show from the get-go. Again, it was like, again, it's not really a show I watch because it's not really my cup of tea. But, the first season was very true to source material, brought in the audience. Season 2, complete bait and switch. Henry Cavill got pushed to the back. Yennefer was pushed forward. Apparently diverged quite a lot from the source material. And, the rumors going around. I mean, he originally was signed up for 7 series. He loved the source material. He loved this character. He inputted into season 1. But where your head showrunner on Twitter says, like, she's all about smashing the patriarchy, does not bode well. And then subsequent stories to say that, most of the people on this show don't even like the source material. It's all too misogynistic or whatever. And I think fair play to the guy that he's just like got out. He knows the reviews weren't good for season 2. He knows what's coming in season 3. And he's just like, enough's enough. I'm not going to keep being like humiliated and seeing a franchise that I love destroyed. Fair play to the dude. I mean, obviously, he's thankfully in a position that he can do that. I guess financially, or he had some sort of get out clause in his contract, hopefully. But but yeah, with Liam Hemsworth coming in, which seems a bit of a strange choice, I think Chris Hemsworth would have been a better fit. But again, he's probably too big for the show. I don't know. He's probably on a par with Henry. Maybe, I don't know. Henry a bit slightly more famous. But he's probably had enough of having his roles demasculated. The nonsense they did to Thor and made him basically a laughing stock, and some pathetic guy running around on a leash after Jane in the last film, and he's probably turned around and gone, hell no. So anyway, his brother Liam stepped up for season 4. This article goes on to say that a lot of the fans obviously aren't happy. They aren't happy with how they're treating the source material. They aren't happy that Cavill's leaving, and that potentially they're saying season 4 should just be cancelled. They're going to boycott. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm going to stop watching this," and all these kind of things, and don't. But I think the season 2 was like came and went with hardly any comments or excitement on the internet. Season 3 could definitely do that, and I think there are people do underestimate the draw of Henry Cavill, of how popular he is. He's popular with men because he's a massive self-confessed geek slash nerd. He follows his stuff, he loves his stuff, builds his own PCs, so guys can sort of relate to him and go, yeah, cool, he's a cool dude. And us women, or certainly speaking for myself, I find him easy on the eye. Sorry, very sexist comment, I know, but let's just hope there's lots of shirt off action in Superman. Oh, did I say that? So yeah, that's the other part of the news. As I said, though, so he's going back to Warner Brothers. With the new regime, I don't think they would have got him back otherwise. And it sounds like he's got a pretty decent relationship with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. So, and the cameo in Black Adam, setting up the Justice League and the non-Justice League and all that sort of DC side of things. And Man of Steel 2 in the works, which is massively exciting. You can see from the announcement that Henry made on Twitter, he is absolutely beaming to be back. He's wanted to carry on with this role for so long. I just really hope he gets the script and the film that he deserves, that he can sort of be standalone on his own, Superman, playing Superman, saving people, being chivalrous and heroic and all those things we love about Superman, and not having it all stripped away because it's too much toxic masculinity. Lord save us. But hopefully with the regime that seems to be coming in at Warner Brothers and DC, and obviously we've got James Gunn taking over DC as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because he can be a little bit hit and miss. Personally, I loved Peacemaker. I thought that was a great show. Very, very funny. And obviously Guardians fan. I quite like the Suicide Squad as well. Did actually go to pictures to see it. It was a shame it was sort of dual released, and also it was very much as we were coming out of COVID. I think it would have done a lot better if it was released at a different time, or just released in the cinema, to be honest. So really exciting if we've got like James Gunn at the helm with Henry back. We might get a good, traditional, upbeat, hopeful, positive Superman film. Warner Brothers are absolutely teed up to knock it out the park and trample it all over Marvel. Marvel are floundering big time. Nobody wants to go see their films. Be interesting to see what happens with the Wakanda Forever. I can't say I'm particularly excited to go see it in the cinema. Black Panther, the first film, was okay. It was quite good. Obviously, Chadwick was brilliant in it. Can they carry the film without him? Remains to be seen, I guess. But just a big shout out to Henry. I think he deserves so much more than the roles he's given. He's just a great star, born at the wrong, or famous at the wrong time. We all say you make a brilliant James Bond, amazing Superman. Why aren't you giving this man these roles? So let's keep everything crossed for Henry, that he gets a decent script, a good script that he can just absolutely excel at, and that leads to more Superman films, and I say like the Justice League and all of that. with good writers. I mean, that's the key. It wouldn't surprise me if James Gunn writes it himself, quite frankly. Or I'm sure he's got quite a few people on speed dial that will come in and write for him, that, or people just done with Disney and Marvel and just do not want to work for them anymore. So I think you're going to see a big migration of talent going over to Warner Brothers and DC, hopefully. But we also know Warner Brothers has also been the dumbest studio pretty much in history. And I think it's only Disney that can top it right now. So again, kind of watch that space and see where it goes. And as and when information comes out, I'll be chatting on here about it. Exciting times. Yeah, lastly, kind of what else pops in my head, but I saw yesterday that there is a proposed or being greenlit prequel to Friday the 13th, currently called Crystal Lake, as headline says, over at Peacock, which is, I don't think Peacock is doing that great over in the States. And, we only get it as a sort of a bit of a bolt onto Sky TV over here, which doesn't seem to have anything new on it. It just seems to have old NBC shows. So I'm not quite sure how that's really playing out or taking off over here. But really what intrigued me about this is that not so much, kind of a bit like, a prequel to, and we all know the quality of the Friday the 13th films went off a cliff, but really that Brian Fuller's involved. And for those of you who don't know, he was the showrunner behind Hannibal, the TV show, 4 amazing series of TV, not for the squeamish. I think, from memory, I'm sure there's a point where I think it was Lawrence Fishburne's in it, and Hannibal's kind of has kidnapped him or something, and he's amputated his leg, and then basically was feeding it to him, like cooked it and fed it back to him. But so if I tell you that, that does bode well for a horror franchise prequel. So there's been a lot of legal wranglings over Friday the 13th, and it's just been tied up in copyright and who owns it and who can do what for years. I mean, apart from the franchise was just, on its last legs after Jason X or Jason 10 in space. Yeah, no one's been able to do anything with the property, because the original writer from the sort of the first part was trying to get the copyright back. I think that subsequently happened. A lot of the legal dealings are now getting sorted, as this article alludes to. And the executive producers are kind of negotiating with the original writer, what they can and can't include. I sort of think it's a bit of an extended universe, because obviously a prequel to Friday the 13th, for anybody that's been on Mars, in the original Friday the 13th, it was spoiler, his mother. He was actually the killer, because the camp counselors had let Jason drowned when he was a young boy, maybe sort of around 10 or 11. And then subsequently, which nobody ever really explained, Jason sort of came back from the dead from the second one onwards to go around killing camp counselors for, the sins of the past, for the camp counselors not paying enough attention and letting him be bullied. So any prequel, I guess, has got to be around Jason's upbringing, leading up to his death or around his death, and anything that his mother might do. Don't know. Is there going to be a twist on? Do they actually explain how Jason died and was able to come back as some sort of, I know, possessed demon, something? Maybe Camp Crystal Lake was on some Native American grounds and something happened. Who knows? But I do have a bit of confidence, despite how nonsensical all that sounds, because Brian Fuller's involved, who we say is a great writer and a really good showrunner, and he's also executive producer, so he does have a lot of control over this. They're working with a company called A24 that I'm not familiar with, but again, from the article, it kind of suggests that they specialize in horror or that kind of genre. So again, hopefully there's quite good backing, I think, behind that. The key to these things working is really just letting the showrunners crack on and do what they're good at, without too much interference from the studios. And I think, Brian Fuller's been quite badly burnt in the past by other networks interfering, stealing projects off him. So I think whatever deal he would have drawn up, I'm sure that he's making sure that he does have creative control and the final sort of say in all of this. So, remains to be seen whether we'll even get it in the UK. Because again, the articles say because of these legal wranglings, it may or may not be able to be shown outside of the state. So it'd be disappointing if it's good and we don't get to see it. But these things, if they're successful, tend to find a way that they can partner up with someone or something like that. Or, for a bit of extra ka-ching, the the original owner will suddenly go, yeah, that's fine. You can sell it worldwide. Now it's making lots and lots of money. The politics of the film and TV industry is just absolutely bonkers. So that was like the three main articles that sort of caught my eye in the last couple of days, while I'm sort of catching up and scrolling through Twitter. I'm not actually seeing any articles, but obviously there's rumors of plenty around Rings of Power and the showrunners being quietly asked to leave or take a step back. And, we need to have more experienced showrunners on, which is like no Sherlock. I mean, geez Louise, it's, for the amount of money spent, I don't think it matters how you spin it. There's just no way, obviously, they're going to make their money back or it's anywhere near the success that they wanted. And what's made it worse is obviously House of the Dragon, seeing their ratings go up week on week on week. There's, when you've got almost like a like-for-like comparison, there's just no way you can hide how badly this thing's failed. So apparently Bezos is going through the roof. But they don't make too much noise at the moment because, awards season, Emmys, whatnots, and if they come out and say it's not very good, then it's pretty hard to lobby for awards. So it's just the usual sort of stupidity and games going on behind the scenes. I think the fans and everybody would just have a lot more respect if they come around and say, look, we're really proud of what we did, but we hear you. We know we haven't got it quite right and we're working on it. And just leave it at that. It doesn't, you don't need to be like, oh, grovel, but just some acknowledgement that they just haven't got the first season right at all from everything I've seen and read, because there's no way I'm watching it and putting myself through it. So that's a couple of other things milling around on the old grapevine. So there you go. So as I'm back, there will be a weekly roundup this Sunday. Hopefully, if all being equal, everything's good. Had a few problems with the Wi-Fi tonight. Hopefully, this is recorded okay, or it could be heavily edited. So apologies if it's a little bit skiddy. Hopefully, I won't need to re-record the whole thing because that kind of, ruins the point of it being kind of spontaneous and nonsense coming off the top of my head. We'll see. So, so I'll be covering. What will I be covering? I'm covering The Peripheral. With 3 episodes in, by Sunday it'll be 4 episodes in, as I wasn't here to cover last Friday, so that's chugging along quite nicely. Manifest is back on Friday. Manifest season 4 part 1 on Netflix. As I've said on my channel, I'm a huge fan of this show. I love it. The season 4 is going to be in 2 parts, so Netflix picked it up after one of the other channels, I think it's ABC, cancelled it because it was too expensive to make. Not that it was getting bad ratings, and are finishing off the show. But we've gone from a sort of 5-6 season arc down to like 4 and a 4th extended season. So nervous whether the landing. It's one of those classic mystery box shows. And we'll just sit there every season going, what the hell is going on? And each season we get more confused as to what's going on than we did the season before. I'm a sucker for these shows. 9 times out of 10, left bitterly disappointed. a la Lost, going, well, that doesn't explain blooming anything. And we guessed that back in season 1. Great. So I'm really hoping that this show doesn't do that to me, that we do get a sensible ending. Even if I don't agree with the ending, if the ending makes sense and it ties up all the loose ends, I'll be kind of okay. If it's like, oh, like, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be, fine. But as long as there's a genuine blooming ending, so I can't, not sure I can go through it again. Anyway, so that'll be on a Sunday show. I'm not sure. And I'll probably do a little bit on the Devil's Hour, the Peter Capaldi and my brain's gone. Stephen Moffat, the writer. The new, I think, 6-parter on Prime. And there's also the Del Toro Cabinet of Curiosities, I think, on Netflix that I've also been watching. So give a few updates on that as well. So a few things to talk through on Sunday. Hope you enjoyed my few ramblings on what's going on in the pop culture. As I said, do like, share, subscribe, please, and do leave me some comments if you don't like the format. There's things you want me to chat about, articles that you've seen. Leave me a comment, or you can get me on Twitter, Atomic Blonde. That's Andy LDM50. Say, hey, can you chat about this? What do you think of this? More than happy to. So thanks for tuning in, listening to my ramblings, and some might say nonsense. I will see you next week with more chat. Bye-bye.